Are we really going to play this game with the kids' health? Is the community going to idly sit by and allow these kids to get packed into schools that we know for a fact there are photos now? It's not just what I'm saying. It's not what Dr. McCracken is saying. There's no speculation. What you saw in those photos is what I guarantee is throughout that entire school. Throughout the entire district. She acknowledged that it was in one of the elementary schools, I think it was. So, the question remains, what are we going to do? Are we going to just sit by silent and we're just going to allow this to happen? Or are we going to demand transparency, accountability, and a real solution to a real problem? Time will tell. Hey, welcome back, everybody, and I'm just going to try to make this as quick as possible. We have a school board meeting this evening at 7 o'clock for the Norwin School District, and I am encouraging everybody and anybody that's able to make it to please come out to the meeting this evening. This was an email among one of many. I mean, Dr. McCracken seems to think that this information is coming from certain board members, and ma'am, the entire community is talking about this mold. There are many people that knew about this mold. And I think what happened is as we approach closer and closer to the beginning of the school year and you were remaining silent on the mold, I think that people started to panic. So what did they do? They reached out to Accountability Now Norwin and began to make us aware of the issues at the school with the mold. These photos are time-stamped and dated. They show the true condition of Norwin schools on August 11, 2025, the very night Dr. Natalie McCracken stood before the community at the school board meeting and misrepresented the facts. While parents and taxpayers were being told everything was fine, this is the reality our students were walking into. The community deserves honesty, not deception, from its leadership. So again, the school board meeting this evening will be at the administration building at 281 McMahon Drive, North Huntington, PA. Again, this is Dr. Natalie McCracken's telephone number and extension, as well as her email address, because she seems to want people to reach out. But as she was giving this statement to the community that there was nothing to be concerned about, this was the actual conditions of the school. I mean, and then we'll get into later why what she told us at the meeting was just, bold-faced lies. Now, this I can't really figure out. You guys will have to tell me what you think. Is this mold just beginning to show through, or was this painted over with some sort of Kills mold remediation primer paint? I mean, it looks like that may have been what was done, which that's extremely concerning if that's the case. And we'll go over here. Now, this could be some dirt from the HVAC. That's possible. But I know that when it's sitting next to stuff like this, I'm going to say that it's also a big possibility that that's mold throughout the ventilation system. And again, that is a supply. So that is actually blowing air into the building for the kids to breathe in. Very concerning. I mean, even more concerning is acting as though you didn't know about this after the fact. And again, we'll get to that. So Joe Napsher decided to write an article in the Trib. I think this came out 2 days ago. And these are just some of the clips from within the article, right? The mold was found in buildings. The buildings is known as Aspergillus. So remember that, Aspergillus, a common type which can cause lung problems for some people who breathe the spores, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. People with weakened immune systems or lung disease are most at risk, but most people do not get sick from Aspergillus, the CDC said. That's fine, most people, but people do get sick. McCracken, she spent the first half of addressing the community downplaying, telling us things that just don't even make logical sense. But the second half she criticized those who posted statements on social media, starting a rumor or speculation that it was black mold in Norwin, without ever asking a question to confirm the statement. She then goes on to say that having people back in the building is what helps them, meaning the structures function as they were designed to function. The mold has been caused this summer by high temperatures, high humidity, and rain. Well, I'm going to tell you something, Dr. McCracken. This did not just pop up over the summer. And I agree that it more than likely, you are correct, the high heat, the rain, and the humidity, I know that played a huge role in this stuff growing more than it already was there. But this all stems from a failed roof repair where, sources are telling us that they were allowed to reuse the insulation board, some of the insulation. I mean, we're still digging into that, but let's be honest with the people. This comes from a failed roof project. I know some of you watching this video will probably remember a couple years ago where the school had garbage cans and buckets positioned all throughout the school catching water. So the mold, okay, so because of the recent discovery of possibly more mold found in Knight Stadium, the Norwin football boosters announced on its website August 13th that the school district immediately closed the press box inside the stadium and began mold remediation. It was only after these pictures surfaced online that they decided to do this, and then acting as though that this was just discovered. If this is what just discovered looks like, then clearly those that we are entrusting our children's education to, their safety to, they're walking around with their eyes closed. They have to be. So let's then jump into what is this Aspergillus. Now, I'll be upfront with you. There's going to be words in here that I can't really pronounce very well. I'm going to do my best. But, the statement that I have on this, the fact that Dr. McCracken would downplay the presence of Aspergillus as though there is no health risk whatsoever only reinforces my position. The real fear here is not for the safety of our students, but for the financial fallout that comes with acknowledging the truth. By minimizing this issue, they hope to shield their $30 million sports complex dream from collapse. Yet, no stadium, no field, no scoreboard carries more value than the health and safety of our children, our staff, and our community. And I also want to point out that I have had a couple members of the janitorial staff within the district, and they're pretty upset that all this money is being put into the scoreboard in the stadium, especially when there was a cheaper option, and they're not getting the raises that they feel they should get, which, you can't expect people to do what they're not being paid to do. So, I'll leave it at that, and we'll touch more on the janitors. And if any janitors are seeing this video, please reach out to me. We keep our sources anonymous, but we like to get good information to the public. So let's talk about Aspergillus, okay? So what do we have here? Aspergillus. So I'll upload these documents because for whatever reason they're not popping up big on the screen. You could probably pause and zoom in if you want. But Aspergillus is a common type of mold. It's a fungus found both indoors and out, which Dr. McCracken did say that. It thrives in damp, poorly ventilated areas such as basements, ceiling tiles, HVA, all the stuff that she said. While most strains are harmless, certain species like Aspergillus fumigatus, A. flavus, and A. niger can cause health problems, especially in people with weakened immune systems or respiratory conditions. So what are some of these health problems? Allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillus, otherwise known as ABPA, an exaggerated immune reaction often in people with asthma and cystic fibrosis, sinus inflammation, and chronic allergic responses. So here's some of the respiratory illnesses. Aspergillus, aspergilloma, which are fungus balls. Mold can grow inside the lung cavities from prior disease/injury. Invasive aspergillosis is a serious infection where mold spreads from lungs into the bloodstream and other organs. And then chronic pulmonary aspergillosis, which is a long-term infection that can slowly damage the lungs. So then you have toxin concerns. Some Aspergillus species produce aflatoxins, potent carcinogens, more commonly in contaminated food sources, corn, peanuts, and grains. Indoor exposure is more about respiratory risk than foodborne toxin risk. However, if there's mold in the school and the schools are serving lunches, is there mold in the food? That's my question. So the symptoms of negative effect from Aspergillus exposure, sneezing, runny nose, stuffy nose, watery, itchy eyes, skin rashes, asthma attacks, or worsening of asthma symptoms, respiratory symptoms, persistent cough, sometimes with blood, wheezing or shortness of breath, chest pain or tightness, fatigue, and general malaise. I'm not even sure what that means. Let me take a look. Let me see if I can get a definition real quick. Nope. So then we have the systemic invasive infection in high-risk individuals, fever and chills that don't improve with antibiotics, weight loss, night sweats. It's nasty. It is. It's really nasty. It's not really something that I would like to, chance with any of the kids attending school there. So then the severe difficulty breathing, and then it will spread to other organs, kidney, brain, skin, leading to more serious complications. So the key point I think to take from here is that healthy people may only experience mild allergy-like symptoms, but children, the elderly, people with asthma, lung disease, or weakened immune systems are at a much higher risk for severe health outcomes. So the fact that the superintendent would downplay the dangers of Aspergillus mold in other schools is an abomination. This neglect disregards the health of our students, staff, and community. Transparency, accountability, and immediate action are the only acceptable responses to protect public safety. So there's the three big types of Aspergillus, and I named them, when I went through the last document, but I have them here, and I will drop these in a link somewhere so you guys can access them. But you have the Aspergillus fumigatus, which is the most dangerous. Then you have the Aspergillus flavus, which is highly dangerous. And then the Aspergillus niger, which is comparatively less severe. However, there are asthma attacks, coughing, sinus inflammation, ear infections, aspergilloma, which is the fungal balls in the lungs, and then, rarely the invasive disease in severely immunocompromised patients. But nonetheless, Dr. McCracken, Aspergillus does not make me comfortable. So you said that's what it is. I mean, what's really going on?